What happens when the night shift hides the darkest parts of your company? That question hit Desmond Keller hard as he sat alone in his office, staring at a stack of customer complaints and high turnover reports from one specific location, Store 11. It was a 24-hour fast casual joint just off the highway, one of 15 stores he'd inherited from his father 2 years ago. The place had been running fine for a while, but over the past few months, something had changed. Complaints were vague: cold food, slow service, rude staff. But what really got his attention was the employee exit interviews. Too many said the same thing: they didn't feel respected. A few even hinted at discrimination, but nothing concrete. One former worker just wrote, "Check the night shift and you'll see." Desmond had never stepped foot in Store 11. It was in a different state, one his father had opened before Desmond even graduated college. Everyone at that store had been hired by the district manager, and Desmond had never met any of them, which made it the perfect place to go undercover. He called in a favor from an old friend who worked in casting for TV commercials. Within 2 days, he had a new look: trimmed beard, dyed hair, thick glasses, and a fake ID badge reading Ethan Trainee. They even added a slight southern drawl to his speech to throw people off. The story was simple: he was a new transfer from Store 14, here to cover the night shift while they were short-staffed. The staff shortage was real. According to HR, 3 night shift crew members had quit in the past 2 weeks, and the store manager hadn't replaced them yet. Desmond figured if he blended in, worked the shift, and listened more than he talked, he might finally get the answers he needed. That's how, at 11:30 on a Thursday night, Desmond found himself tying an apron behind his back in the cramped break room of Store 11. "Ethan Wright," a young woman said, glancing up from the time clock. She had a ponytail tucked under a visor and a name tag that read Paulina. "Yeah, that's me," Desmond said, keeping his voice relaxed. "Cool, I'm Paulina. You're with me on line 2. We're short tonight, so just follow my lead." Paulina didn't smile much, but she moved fast, knew what she was doing, and made space for him without hesitation. Desmond noticed right away how she kept checking on the others, especially the 2 nervous-looking new hires at the back of the line. "Y'all good back there, Alma Darian?" Paulina asked while flipping 2 patties. The boy Darian nodded quickly. The girl Alma gave a thumbs up but didn't say much. Desmond caught her glancing at the order screen with confusion. "First week?" he asked softly. She nodded. "Second day." Her accent was thick, Spanish maybe, but her tone was gentle. "Still learning," Desmond smiled. "You're doing fine." The shift ran like clockwork until about 1 in the morning when the manager walked in. Kyle, Desmond knew the name from reports. He was in his early 30s, wore his authority like a badge, and had been with the company 5 years. He didn't recognize Desmond, of course. Why would he? Desmond had never met him, and his disguise was good. Kyle didn't greet anyone. He just walked in, checked the screens, and barked. "Why are we 5 minutes behind on drive-through?" Paulina looked up. "We had a big order. It's under control." Kyle ignored her and turned to Alma and Darian. "Do either of you even speak English well enough to read a screen?" The kitchen went silent. Desmond froze, spatula still in hand. Alma's face dropped. Darian looked down at his shoes. Paulina's eyes flashed. "They're new. They're doing fine. Don't talk to them like that." Kyle didn't back down. "I need people who can keep up. If they can't read an order, they shouldn't be back here." Alma's hands trembled as she fumbled with the sandwich wrapper. Darian stepped in to help her, but both looked shaken. Desmond's chest tightened. He wanted to say something, anything, but he wasn't ready to blow his cover. "Not yet." Kyle turned to Desmond. "You, Ethan Wright, you better not slow us down either. I don't have time to babysit." Desmond nodded calmly but felt his jaw clench. The rest of the shift dragged. Kyle stayed on the floor, watching like a hawk, nitpicking everything. He didn't lift a finger to help, just criticized especially Alma and Darian. Paulina kept stepping in to protect them, taking orders meant for them, answering Kyle without fear. At one point, Alma whispered to Desmond, "He always like this." Desmond just said, "Yeah, but he shouldn't be." When the shift ended at 6 in the morning, Alma and Darian left in silence. Paulina stayed to clean. Desmond helped her, wiping down the counters beside her. "You always fight back like that," he asked. Paulina shrugged. Someone has to. Those two are good kids. They're trying. Kyle just wants people to quit so he doesn't have to train them. Desmond nodded. You'd make a better manager than him. She gave a bitter laugh. Thanks, but I've been passed over twice. Didn't even get an interview. Desmond's heart sank. He left the store with the sunrise creeping over the parking lot. His hands smelled like grease and his back ached, but his mind was clear. He'd seen enough. Tomorrow night, he was coming back. And this time, he wasn't just going to watch. Desmond slept for 3 hours, then spent the rest of the day poring over internal files from Store 11. He combed through scheduling reports, training logs, and shift performance metrics. What he found didn't surprise him. It confirmed what he'd experienced the night before. The night shift had been operating with 2 fewer employees than required for over a month. Training logs were incomplete or missing for the newest hires. And Kyle, the manager, had received 3 formal complaints in the past year, all dismissed, all signed off by the same district manager. At 8:30 that night, Desmond walked back into the store through the employee entrance, dressed again in his Ethan uniform. The same assistant manager from the night before Maya was at the time clock. She gave him a short nod but didn't say much. Her eyes were tired. Desmond noticed she had a brace on her left wrist. Paulina arrived 10 minutes later, hair damp from a rushed shower, eyes alert. She looked at Maya, then at Desmond. Darian called out, she said, checking the shift board. And Alma's not on the schedule, so it's just us 3 up front. Desmond kept his voice low. She quit. Paulina didn't answer right away. She put her bag in her locker, pulled her visor on, and said, she sent me a message this morning. Said she couldn't handle it anymore, didn't even give notice. Desmond nodded once. He didn't ask more. He didn't need to. By 11, the kitchen was humming at half capacity. Maya was trying to cover both prep and register, which meant Desmond and Paulina were stuck running the line alone. Orders came in steady, mostly drive-through runs from truckers and late-night delivery apps. Every 10 minutes, a new paper ticket spat out and the rhythm of the line became mechanical. Grab, grill, wrap, bag, repeat. Desmond kept his head down and moved fast, but Paulina was clearly pulling the weight of 2 people. She refilled sauces, stocked buns mid-order, and jumped to the register when Maya got backed up. Her voice stayed even, but her pace didn't let up. Near midnight, Kyle walked in again. This time with a large iced coffee and a clipboard. He glanced around, then said, "Where's the new girl?" Alma. Before anyone could answer, Maya cut in without looking up. "She didn't come back," Kyle scoffed. "Figures. I told you she wouldn't last." Paulina didn't respond, but Desmond saw her jaw tense as she dropped fries into the oil. Kyle walked the floor slowly, pretending to check equipment while mostly watching over shoulders. He hovered behind Desmond as he wrapped a sandwich. "You're folding that backwards," he said. Desmond glanced at the wrapper. "It's sealed." "It's not about sealing, it's about presentation," Kyle said. "The logo needs to face up when it's in the bag. Do it again." Desmond unwrapped it and redid it exactly the same way but slower this time, so Kyle had to watch. Kyle walked off without a word. A half hour later, a customer came inside complaining their order was wrong, missing a side and a drink. Meyer apologized and offered a replacement, but Kyle stepped in before she finished. "Refunds come out of the register's overage," he told the customer. "You want extras, you pay for them." The man looked confused. "I paid already, I'm just missing stuff." Kyle didn't budge. "You'll need to show a receipt, otherwise I can't verify anything." The customer left, muttering about calling corporate. Maya looked at the floor. Paulina didn't flinch. Desmond kept his mouth shut, but noted every second of it. By 2:30, the drive-through queue stretched around the side of the building. Paulina was juggling headset orders and line work while Desmond boxed up meals. Maya was limping slightly now, her brace slowing her down. Kyle leaned against the back wall, scrolling through his phone. Paulina finally turned to him. "Can you help on headset? I can't keep up." Kyle didn't look up. "That's not my job. You want help, finish faster." Desmond stepped in. "I can take headset." Paulina shot him a look, surprised but grateful. She handed him the earpiece and returned to the grill. Desmond tapped the button. "Welcome to Store 11. What can I get started for you?" The headset crackled with a gruff male voice ordering 2 combos and a side of nuggets. Desmond read it back, repeated the total, and passed it to Maya. She keyed it in, her fingers stiff. When the order came to the window, Desmond handed it off with a thank you and a polite smile. The driver, an older man with a St. Louis cap, returned the gesture. "Y'all sound a lot better than last time," he said. "Good to hear someone with some manners back here." Desmond didn't reply. He just nodded and closed the window. By 4, things slowed. Paulina was wiping down counters, her movements slower than earlier. Maya sat on a bucket near the mop sink, rubbing her wrist. Kyle emerged from the office with a clipboard again. "We're cutting hours next week," he said aloud to no one in particular. 3 shifts are going away." Paulina looked up. "Which shifts?" Kyle glanced at her. "Yours. Unless you want to move to mornings. I go to school during the day. Then I guess you've got a decision to make." Desmond turned from the sink. "You said we're short-staffed. Why cut hours?" Kyle narrowed his eyes. "Stay in your lane, Ethan. You're new." Paulina stepped forward, voice steady. "We've been running understaffed for weeks. Cutting hours won't fix that." Kyle shrugged. "Payroll's high. Orders are down, not my rules. You want full shifts, sell more food." Paulina didn't say anything. She just picked up the mop and started cleaning the floor. At 5:45, Desmond clocked out and stepped outside. The sky was pale blue, the air cool. He walked to his rental car, sat in the front seat, and pulled out his phone. He called the district manager's office and left a voicemail. "My name's Desmond Keller. I need you in person at store 11 by noon. No excuses." Then he made a second call to HR. "I want every complaint filed against Kyle Graves on my desk by 10. He ended the call and sat in silence. He'd seen enough. But now it wasn't just about Kyle. It was about every person who let him operate like that unchecked. Every system that allowed good workers to burn out while a manager sat in the back and ignored it. Tomorrow, Desmond wasn't coming in as Ethan. He was coming in as the CEO. By 11:15 the next morning, Desmond stood just inside the front door of store 11, not in an apron or visor this time, but in a dark gray button-up and clean slacks. The dining area was nearly empty, just one man reading a folded newspaper in the corner and a pair of teenagers sharing fries near the window. The breakfast rush had ended. The lunch crowd hadn't begun. It was the perfect pocket of quiet. He waited near the counter with his arms loosely crossed. The staff up front didn't recognize him. Why would they? The morning crew was a different rotation. A young man behind the register asked if he was picking up an order. Desmond politely declined and nodded toward the back hall. "I'm meeting someone." From the kitchen, he heard Kyle's voice, still loud, still clipped. Desmond remained visible, letting the moment build. He didn't want to call Kyle out in a back office. He wanted this to happen where it would be seen. Kyle rounded the corner a few minutes later, holding a clipboard and biting into a breakfast wrap. He stopped mid-step when he saw Desmond. He blinked. Then blinked again. Desmond didn't speak first. He let the recognition settle. Kyle lowered the wrap, eyes narrowing. "You're..." Desmond raised a hand, calm and firm. "Desmond Keller, CEO." Kyle's mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. "I've worked your night shift for the past 2 nights, Desmond continued, "and I've seen enough." The young man at the register instinctively stepped back from the counter. Desmond glanced around, measured his voice. "I want your district manager here within 10 minutes. I already called this morning. He's on his way." Kyle cleared his throat, the clipboard still clutched in one hand. I wasn't aware. You weren't supposed to be," Desmond said. That was the point. Paulina entered from the back hallway, her backpack still slung over one shoulder. She froze when she saw Desmond. Her eyes flicked from him to Kyle, then back again. Desmond gave her a nod. "You're early." She hesitated. "Did I do something wrong?" He shook his head. "No. You're exactly who I hoped you were." Meyer appeared next, dressed in jeans and a hoodie. She wasn't scheduled to work, clearly, but Desmond had left a message asking her to stop by. She walked slower than usual, her wrist still braced, and gave him a cautious look. "I didn't know it was you," she said. "You weren't supposed to," Desmond replied. "But I remember how you kept things moving even when you shouldn't have been on the floor." Kyle shifted his stance. "If this is about last night, I was following protocol. Staffing cuts came from corporate." "I've got emails." Desmond turned to him. "This isn't about one night, it's about a pattern. You've created an environment where people are afraid to speak, afraid to fail, and worse, afraid to stay. Kyle's face tightened. We meet our metrics. Our numbers are consistent. At what cost? Desmond asked. 3 resignations in 2 weeks. 1 new hire disappeared after her second shift, and you've dismissed every complaint filed against you in the last year. I've read them, all signed off by your friend in district leadership. Who, by the way, is being audited as of this morning. Kyle's grip on the clipboard faltered slightly. I've run this store for 5 years. You think you can judge all that off 2 nights? I didn't judge, Desmond said. I listened, and what I heard matters more than what I read. You didn't lead. You stood there while your team broke themselves to keep this place running. The front door opened, and a tall man in a polo stepped inside. He took one look at Desmond and immediately straightened his posture. Mr. Keller, I came as fast as I could. Desmond gave a short nod. Good. You're going to walk Kyle through his offboarding, effective immediately. Kyle turned sharp. Offboarding? Are you seriously? Desmond didn't raise his voice. You're not fit to lead a team. That's not an opinion. That's a conclusion drawn from first-hand observation. You fostered a toxic culture that rewards intimidation and punishes vulnerability. That ends today. Kyle looked like he wanted to argue, but the weight of the moment settled on him, pressing any words back down his throat. He turned and walked toward the office, the district manager following behind. Desmond faced Paulina and Maya. I'm not here to give speeches, he said, but I owe both of you clarity. I came undercover because I didn't trust what I was being told. And I'm glad I didn't. Paulina didn't say anything at first. Her shoulders were tense, like she was waiting for the ground to shift again. Then she asked, What happens now? Desmond stepped toward the counter. First, we stabilize. I've already approved emergency staffing support from Store 5 and Store 9. They'll rotate extra crew in through the weekend. You'll get the bodies you need. Maya blinked. What about shifts already posted? They'll be adjusted. Nobody's losing hours this week. We're correcting course, not punishing people. Paulina finally set her backpack down. And long term, you're going to be offered full-time leadership training, Desmond said. Starting next Monday, I've seen how you carry weight that isn't yours. It's time you were given the authority to match your responsibility. Paulina stared at him. I applied twice, never even got a call back, he nodded. I know, that's being investigated too. Maya folded her arms slowly. I can't lift with this, she said, raising her braced wrist slightly. I've been working through pain for 2 weeks. Desmond's expression turned serious. You're being placed on paid recovery, effective immediately. I'll have HR call you this afternoon. We'll cover your shifts until you're cleared. She blinked twice, clearly not expecting that. No one's ever. You kept this place upright when you shouldn't have had to, Desmond said. That won't happen again. Paulina glanced toward the kitchen. What about Alma? Can she come back? I've already reached out to her, Desmond replied. If she wants to return, she'll be welcomed. If not, we'll make sure she's compensated for the hours she worked and for the way she was treated. Paulina exhaled slowly, like she'd been holding her breath for days. Desmond stepped behind the counter and looked around. The space felt different now. Not fixed far from it, but lighter, like something had shifted. We're not perfect, he said, but we should never be this far off. Paulina nodded. Most people just look the other way. Desmond looked her in the eyes. I'm not most people. A silence settled, not awkward, but solid. Then Paulina asked, You really worked the line? Desmond cracked the faintest smile. 2 nights, burned my hand on the fry basket the first time. Maya gave a short laugh. You did all right. Barely kept up, Desmond said. But I saw who really kept it running. He stepped back from the counter and glanced at the clock. I'll be back next week, not undercover, just to check in, make sure what we're building holds. Paulina tilted her head. We're building something, we are now, he said. Then he turned and walked out the front doors, the sunlight meeting him head-on. Desmond returned to store 10 days later, this time in plain clothes and without any pretense. No disguise, no hidden role, just a CEO walking into his own business. He chose the mid-afternoon lull after the lunch rush, before the dinner crowd where things moved slow enough for people to breathe but fast enough to show the rhythm of the floor. The change was subtle, but it was there. Paulina stood behind the line, headset around her neck, eyes moving quickly between the fry timer and the order screen. She wasn't alone anymore. A young man with a navy apron handled the grill, and a second voice called out from the register. The pace was steady, not frantic. No one barked. No one hovered in silence. Desmond waited near the back hallway, watching without interfering. Paulina noticed him and gave a quick nod, then handed the headset to her coworker and stepped aside. "You didn't come with a clipboard," she said. "I left it in the car," Desmond replied. "You just here to watch," he shook his head. "I came to follow up, quietly, didn't want to make anyone freeze up." She leaned against the prep table, arms crossed. "We're still short," she said, "but it's not unbearable. They sent 2 temps from store 9. One's decent. One's slow, but he listens." Desmond gestured toward the new guy on the grill. "That him?" "Yeah," she said. "He asks a lot of questions, but I'll take that over someone who pretends they know everything." He nodded once. "You started your training. First module was yesterday. Online stuff. Pretty dry, but it makes sense. Any pushback from the team?" She tilted her head slightly. "A few side comments from the morning crew, but nothing I can't handle. They're not used to seeing someone like me in charge." Desmond didn't ask what she meant. He understood. She glanced toward the kitchen. "You want to see the back room?" He followed her past the line, through the narrow hallway and into the storage area. It was cleaner than before. Labeled bins, clear shelves, a whiteboard on the far wall with shift notes and prep targets. Nothing fancy, but organized, intentional. Maya sat at the folding table near the time clock, arms still braced but resting now, not clenched. She looked up when they entered. "You came back," she said. "I said I would," Desmond replied. "I thought you meant months from now." "I don't wait when something's broken." She closed the binder in front of her. "I'm on light duty, inventory checks, scheduling notes. I'm not used to sitting this much." "Does it feel like punishment?" Desmond asked. "No," she said. "It feels like someone finally noticed I can do more than count fries." Paulina leaned against the wall, arms still crossed. "She caught a mistake in the delivery manifest yesterday, saved us from running out of chicken strips." Desmond raised an eyebrow. "That's a hard one to catch." "I've read the intake sheets before," Maya said. "I just never had a reason to say anything." He looked between them. "You're not obligated to stay, either of you. If this place doesn't work for you long term, I'll help you find something else." "I mean that." Paulina didn't hesitate. "I'm not going anywhere, not now." Maya nodded. "I want to see how this plays out." Desmond stepped toward the whiteboard and scanned the notes. "Who's writing these shift recaps?" "We take turns," Paulina said. "Whoever closes writes what we ran low on. If something breaks, it goes up here." He tapped the board lightly. "That was never standard." "It is now," she said. "No one was remembering to report broken equipment. We had a shake machine down for 3 weeks. No one noticed until a customer asked." Desmond turned. "Anyone complain about the changes?" "A few," Maya said. "Mostly people who liked not being held accountable." He nodded slowly. "We've updated the performance review process. Going forward, evaluations will include peer feedback, not just top-down scoring." Paulina raised an eyebrow. "That's going to rattle some folks." "Good," Desmond said. "They should know their coworkers see what they do." A knock on the breakroom door interrupted them. The door creaked open and a young woman with dark, tired eyes stepped halfway in. Paulina straightened. "You're early," she said. The girl gave a hesitant smile. "I was nervous about traffic." Desmond recognized her immediately. "Alma." She stepped in fully, glancing from Paulina to Maya to Desmond. Paulina gave her a small nod. "You remember Ethan?" Alma's eyes widened. "You're not Ethan." "No," Desmond said gently. "But I'm glad you came back." Alma looked down at her hands. "I almost didn't, I thought. Maybe I made it worse by leaving." "You protected yourself," Maya said. "That's not nothing." Desmond stepped forward. "You weren't wrong to walk away. But if you're willing, we'd like to do better." Alma nodded, slowly but firmly. Paulina turned toward her. "You'll shadow me tonight. I'll walk you through every station. No pressure to rush." Desmond stepped aside so Alma could pass. She gave him a brief nod, then followed Paulina back toward the kitchen. Maya stood behind, arms folded. "She's quiet," she said. "She doesn't need to be loud," Desmond replied. "She just needs to be treated like she matters." Later that evening, Desmond sat in the back booth of the dining area, sipping a cup of black coffee. He watched the shift unfold in real time. Orders came in, got filled, went out. The pace was tight but not strained. Paulina moved between stations, giving quiet direction but never snapping. Alma stayed close, watching, learning. The new grill worker kept his focus, asking questions when needed but staying out of the way when things got tight. There were hiccups. The register glitched once. A delivery driver arrived late for a pickup. But no one panicked. No one blamed. Desmond leaned back, letting the sound of the kitchen wash over him. It was noisy, sure, but not tense. The district manager had stepped down the day after Kyle's departure, voluntarily. Said he didn't want to be part of a system that had moved past him. Desmond hadn't argued. Sometimes, exits were part of progress. He'd appointed an interim from outside the region, a manager from a high-traffic urban store with a reputation for building strong teams. That person would start next week. Until then, Paulina was holding the line. Desmond finished the coffee, left the empty cup on the table, and slipped out the front door without saying goodbye. This wasn't his stage anymore. Outside, the parking lot buzzed with low conversation and idling engines. A trucker leaned against his rig, sipping from a drink cup with the store's logo on it. Desmond walked past him, nodded once, and got into his car. As he pulled away, the store faded behind him, just another dot on the highway map. But inside, something had shifted, not a miracle, not a rescue. Just a correction, and sometimes that was enough.